Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fire Up. We are going to talk about the divisional round of NFL playoffs. And I have my best buddy here, Jeremy, Smoking Jeremy B.
Good afternoon, everybody.
How are you on this beautiful Sunday?
I'm fantastic. 2 hours away from watching some playoff football that still have the Lions in it.
You guys, the excitement must just be unbearable over there in Detroit. I can only imagine.
Like on pins and needles, but it's a good feeling of pins and needles. You know, it's like pins and needles before the wedding, pins and needles before you do anything amateur-wise and win a championship. That's exactly what this feels like.
Awesome. Well, let's recap yesterday's before we get into previewing today's games. So the first game, well, we saw the case for MVP of the NFL, and he made a good case for himself yesterday as the Ravens took down the Houstons 34-10. Jeremy, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts was if Christian Harris didn't get hurt in that third quarter, the Texans might have won because he was stopping Lamar left and right, getting sacks and getting pressure and keeping him contained. So, you know, they had a shot. cjstroud is as good as I and about 15 other people advertised because only 15 people supported him coming out of college because he had a low IQ test. And Donkey Kong Mark Mallett's in the chat. Yeah, we won't post it, but I hear you. Super Bowl or bust. I'll say that for you.
There you go. I think the Ravens might be a tough out, though. I know you guys played them really good when you guys played them.
No, we didn't.
No? Didn't you?
We got beat 30. We got beat by 32 points, 38-6. We had a field goal, 2 field goals, excuse me. That's it. You know what? It's okay. Because at that time, we didn't have Ragnow playing. We didn't have Jonah Jackson playing. Houston was out. CJGJ was out. I think that was one of the games that Amon-Ra missed. It was kind of a crap show.
But you learned a lot.
Oh, yeah. We learned without all those guys, we wouldn't do crap.
Oh, that's funny.
At least I'm honest. We had injuries. And yes, we won the week before versus Tampa with the same exact injuries. But guess what? It makes it different when you're playing an elite team to have your good players off the field.
I would agree with that. And I think Lamar is on a mission. I think he's definitely on a mission. And he's going to try and steamroll everybody he can. No matter who he plays next week, watch out. I think that could be tough. Because, again, it's in Baltimore. Because Baltimore has home field advantage. So, but there was another game yesterday, near and dear to my heart. As we all know, I'm a Packers fan, and my Packers lost. And I repeat, my Packers lost to the 49ers. It was everything that they did in Green Bay. There was numerous one plays that would have changed the outcome of that game. And part of it is, and I like LaFleur starting out strong and saying, okay, I applaud my offense. I want my offense to take the field, go down, just like we did against Dallas, and score first. The only problem is we couldn't score the touchdown. And I think that let a little bit out of our sails because we're like, oh, we did it to Dallas. Now we're going to go into San Francisco on a very rainy night. And we were, and we just couldn't get in the score. And the problem was the first 3 possessions of ours, we only managed 6 points.
Yep. And I said 0 for 3 in the red zone for touchdowns is not a winning combination. We've seen it before. We just saw it last week in the wild card round. Who couldn't get touchdowns in their first 3 drives? The Rams. Who else couldn't? The Cowboys. The Cowboys, as much as I hate to say it, for lack of a better word, y'all jail sexed them.
We did.
You guys were up 27-0 because of a missed extra point. The guy missed a total of 8 times he missed the goalposts all season. Which, yes, it was the most in the NFL, but he was a rookie.
We have a lot of rookies on our team, and I think it kind of showed last night. And
Youngest team in the NFL showed up. I mean, that's what it was.
the stingiest defense showed up when they needed to. There were times we marched up and down, but we couldn't score. So we marched in between the 20s, but we couldn't get it done at the goal line. And there were numerous, and I will say at least that I know of, 2 picks that we should have had that were in our defenders' hands, and they couldn't catch it. Now, here we all talk about, I get it. It was raining. It was the same for both sides. But on the defensive side, I think it's harder for them to catch it when it's wetter because they're not used to. That's not really their job. Their job is to defend, block it, get. So I think with the wet conditions, that's what slipped. The ball slipped through their hands. To be quite frank, otherwise, under normal conditions, I think at least one of those would have been caught, and maybe even a pick 6.
The one that would have been a big pick 6 is the one that hit the safety. I think it was Savage when he was coming around and he jumped the route and he just couldn't hang on. But that being said, there's a reason. The old rule of thumb was if you couldn't catch the ball as a receiver, you became a corner or safety, depending on your size. If you were shorter and thicker, stockier, you became a safety. If you were tall and lanky and had some speed, you became a corner. That's what it used to be. Remember, all the corners in the NFL used to be faster than greased pigs. I mean, I almost said some bad stuff.
But
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Those who can catch, play defense, those who can play offense. But lately, you're seeing more of these talented wide receivers after their first and second year decide they don't like to be hit that way. So they switch to defense. And then you got guys who can actually catch the ball, read a route, jump routes, and not have to play so close and handsy. And I saw quite a few plays yesterday that was done exactly like everybody that's accusing somebody on my team of being dirty. Same hits. Tight ends up in the air, comes down on the ground, getting hit in the thigh with the helmet close to the knee. It's not a dirty hit because nobody's been fined for it. The shoulder pads in the thigh. That's all that matters.
Now, I will say the one thing that I do know is that Matt LaFleur said about our kicker, I always pray when he goes on the field.
I heard that too.
And that means to me, that is why he had Jordan Love go for it on 4th down. Now, whether you think he crossed the plane, the NFL ruled and looked at it and they said no, he did not cross, so he did not get a 1st down. Whether they should have gone for 3 at that point, that's where analytics comes into play. And I think Matt LaFleur is playing analytics. Right. And I'm not sure, because that was early on, that was the right call, because either if you don't have confidence in your kicker, you're not gonna kick it. I get it. But I don't think Jordan Love was the answer. You were running with Aaron Jones otherwise. And I think the stingiest defense, especially the stingiest front 4 for the defense of San Francisco, trying to get Jordan Love to get that was the wrong call.
No, you run somebody at Chase Young because he was over pursuing all day, because that's where 90% of your yards came from, was between the right guard and right tackle, or the right guard and center.
I will admit the one thing that the commentators did say is that they were complimenting our young receivers because they were doing more blocking and helping the running game. But then we abandoned it in the 4th quarter when we had the lead, and I still don't get that. But
because you guys got the lead, made a stop, got the ball back, and went pass, then tried to run on short. Mm-hmm. It made no sense. It made no sense. But the rule of thumb is if you're on the road, you go for the win. If you're at home, you go for the tie. Because then you're putting the call in their hand. You don't want to be the one that makes the coin flip. That's the rule of thumb.
Right. And of course, Jordan, at the end of the game, there was a chance that we could have come back. whether we would have done it or not. But on first down, I don't care who you are. If you're a fan of the game or if you've played the game, you always hear never, never throw the ball cross field when you're running one direction, throw it back across the field. You're just asking for a disaster. Throw it away. Throw it away.
First year starter mistake. That's what that is. What he should have done was just thrown it out of bounds or tucked it and tried to run out of bounds and stop the clock. Because you guys had like 50 some seconds. And then when that guy dove and intercepted it, and your wide receiver that's running towards him stops and doesn't touch him, I was like, oh, it's over.
Mm-hmm. So was there one play that did it? No, but there were numerous plays. Do I think we should have won that game? Yes. I think, and nobody gave us any, or not many people gave us respect thinking we could go into San Francisco and win. Not many.
Yeah, I was one of the few that said, I think you're actually going to cover and you got a puncher's chance to win, but you're not. San Francisco's not covering 9.5 points. I just knew it. There was no way. And you guys hit the under.
Mm-hmm.
The over under was what, 49.5, I think it was. So I got most of my parlay right. The only thing that messed me up was Deebo Samuel getting hurt. Yeah. I cried because a $5 bet would have been $2,000.
But
I mean, everything hit in the first quarter. Christian McCaffrey touchdown. I knew the under was going to hit because both defenses were playing too good. It was bad.
I agree. But what I will say is, as much as us Packer fans might hurt right now, we have a lot to look forward to. And I think some questions were answered this season. I think there are a couple of questions that really need to be addressed. And one of them I would say is I really, really, really think we need to fire Joe Barry. He needs to go because let's face it, at the end of the game when it was on the line and San Francisco, give them credit, they have their veterans there. They drove down the field. And we knew Christian McCaffrey was going to have that ball. Let's face it. With Deebo out, like, what were they going to do? They're going to run. So what do we need to do? We need to defend that run. And were we doing it? No. He's got to go. He's got to go. There are a lot of people calling for the kicker to go. You know, everybody's a rookie. Look at Jordan, how he started out. Do I think we waste another draft pick on a kicker that might be the same?
I think you'll either get a kicker. If you do, it'll be a 7th round kicker or a UDFA. I don't think you're going to take one early. It'll be a late day 3 pick at best. You guys got 2 second rounds though. You guys got a chance to be like we did this past year. You know what I'm saying? Where you get 2 good, high quality players in the 2nd round and be another up and coming force. But at the same time, the only pick we only round that the Lions don't have a pick in is the 4th, which usually is a backup or rank and file bench player. So we've got 4 picks in the first 3 rounds too. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens at draft time for both teams.
I agree. And let's face it, we both made the divisional round of playoffs. And a couple years ago, we wouldn't have said that, but life after Aaron is not as bleak as some would have thought, I think. And I think that was proved last night. And I'm going to say,
I give Jordan a B+ grade on his season. And the reason why I give a B+, he made the playoffs. He won a game. He didn't go as far as Packer fans wanted to after they saw that shellacking of the frauds that are known as the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
Because we said all year, every time they faced a good team, they lost. And they darn near lost to Detroit, who is a good team. They went 12-5 for a reason. They had the same exact record, people. It's not like Dallas was 14-3 or 16-1. They were 12-5 also. But I'm not calling Detroit perfect. I just said they're a good team. I didn't say they're elite. There's a big difference there. You
Yes.
guys are what's considered a mid-tier team at this point. Jordan Love needs to get some more seasoning.
Yep.
Those wide receivers need to run better routes because there was some that you could tell with the way Jordan talked to him, it was a bad route.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with him throwing a bad ball. Now, the ball that got tipped up and intercepted, that 100% was on Jordan Love not having good timing, and it probably had a lot to do with the rain. But that was a horrible pass behind Tucker Kraft.
I would agree with that, but and I would say that on the other side, Brock Purdy had the same, that some of his passes were bad. So that's what really led me to the weather. But the weather was the same for both teams. So they both had to, play with that. I'm going to quick go into the chat room because Michael Hussinger, good morning from New Zealand and enjoy your show. Awesome.
Worldwide as advertised.
Exactly. And then Ken, hey. Awesome. Well, there's two games. Let's leave Saturday behind in the rearview mirror, and let's look forward to the two that we have today, which I think will both be better games. The first game is the Buccaneers against the Lions, and what I would say is this is a game with two quarterbacks that I don't think get the respect that they should at this point.
Number one picks overall.
I know they are both number one picks overall. So, previewing the Buccaneers versus the Lions, they did play each other in the regular season. As you alluded to, though, the Lions were on. Who won that game?
We did 20-6 with 6 players out, and I'll name them for you: David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonah Jackson. That was our 3 offensive players out. Laporta played, but was limited because he was dealing with a hamstring issue from the week before when we played you guys and won. So we had all of that, and then on the defense, CJ, Emmanuel Mosley, and James Houston all on the IR, and Brian Branch missed that game. So we were missing a third of our starting defense.
Yes. And the advantage you guys have is you guys are going to have a home field advantage like you haven't heard, because you're playing indoors. It can get really loud. I can only imagine, because you guys haven't been in the playoffs in how long, that how many people are starving to be in there and be in that atmosphere. That is going to be electric, because I can honestly say I have actually been there before. I have witnessed, we won't go into my team. That game, it was my team against your team at that point, but it's going to be exciting. I think Jared Goff, though, does need to hit his receivers. He's got to have a good game today. Not that, every quarterback always needs to have a good game, or they should, unless you have a really good running game that can run between and you have a good line. What are your thoughts, Jeremy? How's Detroit going to win?
It's going to be with the run game. We didn't have either starting running back last time. We have the 1A, 1B system, and both of them went for 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. So it's quite the 1-2 punch to be missing. When Craig Reynolds is the best part of your running and he can only get you 50 yards, that's not a good running game.
Mm-hmm.
But he's your running back 3 for a reason. He was actually the running back 4 at that time because Zonovan McKnight was called up from the practice squad and played right after Montgomery went down with his arm injury. And then he went down in the second quarter. So everybody forgets that we had like 40 yards there and then 50 from Montgomery. The best part, from Reynolds. And the best part about Reynolds was the block he did to free Amon-Ra St. Brown for the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still calling that one of the blocks of the year. I still give the edge a little bit to the JMO block, because on that end around it was actually a toss sweep to Montgomery. He blocks a linebacker at the line, chips him so hard he falls down, and then runs past David Montgomery on the outside to take out the safety so he could get that 75-yard touchdown versus the Chargers. I think that was the best blocking play of the year by anybody, because number one, he's 6'1" and he's 185 pounds. He's not supposed to be taking out 240 and 200-pound safeties. And he had to run fast enough to get up off his butt and get in front of Montgomery again to block the other guy. That was amazing. I mean, that's the other thing. We're using him a little bit more every week. This
So
might be the week to unleash him a little bit. Once we get the play action working. I know inside it's going to be hard to run because they got Vita Villa there, and he's an amazing defensive tackle, and he's really good at run stuffing. Occasionally gets pocket collapsing, but at the same time, he hasn't faced. Well, yeah, he did face this O line minus Jonah Jackson, and didn't get a sack that game. So there's a big part there.
So, and I know this isn't what you want to hear, but if Tampa Bay would win, how do you think they do it?
They'd be stuffing the run. They'd have to stuff the run, and they'd have to actually get rushing yards. Because right now, with what we have on the defense, I think we're going to be taking away a lot of the passing game in the underneath routes because that's where we're good. It's the deep stuff that we get burned on, and we're not giving quarterbacks time. We're not giving. It's actually Chris Godwin. He's the faster one. Mike Evans isn't as fast. He's more of a contested catch guy, which we've been winning the contested catch battles lately with those type of receivers. It's the speedy guys that get us, which would be Perry, I think his name is, or whatever. The slot receiver and Godwin are the faster ones.
What about Jared Goff? Do you think he'll throw any interceptions? Because that's one area that he has been known to every once in a while.
As long as he's not pressured, he doesn't throw picks. I mean, when I say pressure, I mean QB hits and sacks. I'm not talking about where they get close to him and they count it as a pressure. There's a big difference between the two. And that's the same with our defense. Our defense can't get picks if we're not hitting the quarterback and getting sacks, those type of pressures. You can count that where they go by the GPS that's in their shoulder pad or their helmet and get within a yard. That's a pressure. It's not pressure. Pressure is what we saw last night. Both those quarterbacks through the second and third quarter struggled mightily because of the pressure they were facing.
Yes. And Braylon comes in and he says, Candy, I'm mad at your Packers. Can't do one thing right. Braylon, we already talked about them. They did a lot of things right. Yeah, there were some plays that they could have had back, but that's the young team that they were. The other thing I will say is, and I was noticing this last night, is that somehow, some way, we've got to get better with the referees. And because one of the Christian McCaffrey's touchdown runs, actually past a touchdown, was actually after the clock had already gone to 0. They should have been a delay of game, but they didn't catch it. And part of that I'm going to blame is going to be on Matt LaFleur and his coaching staff, because if they're not on top of those little things like that. And one other thing I would say that I noticed is San Francisco's defense lined up very, very close in the neutral zone. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I think they're over. I'm like, so I think, but Braylon, we appreciate you watching. I appreciate you having a.
You know why he's mad? He's a Lions fan. You guys had the chance to give us a third in a row home game. And I'm sorry, in the NFL, beating someone twice in a row is hard. That's why we won in week 4 and they won on Thanksgiving. Yep. It doesn't matter what house you're in. It's hard to beat any team 2 times in a row unless you're named the Minnesota Vikings.
That is true. But
I had to throw it out there.
Yeah, no, you're good. And then let's round it out. There is one more game to end the weekend.
This Chiefs. Is supposed to be the game of the week.
Well, it's the first time the Chiefs are on the road. It was interesting. I was listening to some pregame ahead of this Buccaneers-Lions game, and they were comparing the Chiefs-Bills to a lot of the Manning-Brady rivalries, because there's a lot of the same similarities. Like Brady had Manning for so many years, and then Manning, and it was like there's 7 years and so many games at home, but Chiefs Bills, they've been playing each other tough these last couple of years.
Oh, they have. And it came down to overtime once The one game, Bills never really had a shot. The run game never got going, and that's the difference this year. Is that run game's going to be good because James Cook has came out of nowhere and looked great like the last 7 weeks. And they activated Dalvin Cook because they got rid of Leonard Fournette, and with good reason. Leonard Fournette has done nothing since they signed him, and Dalvin Cook was recovering from an injury. That's why they had to sign him. So now you get brothers as a 1-2 punch because Dalvin Cook isn't as fast as he was, but he's more powerful. So I'm interested to see what they do with Dalvin in the backfield. I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think it's going to be back and forth. But at home, Bills circle the wagons defensively better than any other team in the league. And the 49ers did look pedestrian. The Ravens look good. Take away Green Bay's turnovers and they would have won, I think. Yes, absolutely, Brent DeWitt. You're right. Yeah, you had a turnover on downs to start the game, a turnover on downs towards the end of the game, and you had 2 interceptions. That's 4 turnovers you can't get back.
And we were really lucky on that return that we ran back, that we didn't lose that ball too.
Yeah, you're right. Dalvin Cook is on the Ravens. I wanted him with the Bills because that'd have been cool to see brothers play on the same team. That's the problem. That's my problem. My bad.
No problem. You're right, Braylon. Good job. Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting game tonight. I mean, it could be a lot like the Packers 49ers because that was back and forth too. Although I think there'll be more scoring, I think, in the Chiefs Bills. I don't think there's quite as much defense as there was between the 49ers and the Packers last night. Braylon says, Jeremy, that would be cool if they were on the same team.
It would be cool. That's what I wanted. I thought there goes. It makes perfect sense because Dalvin's not as fast after all the injuries. Worked on his upper body to become more powerful. You know, somebody that can break more tackles upper. Because you remember that used to be his knock. You didn't have to hit him in the legs. You hit him above the waist, he was down. And then he was hurt. So he had to work on that core body strength, his abdomen, his chest, his arms, and make them match up with his legs.
This is a good question, too. NFC North looks like they will be a pretty strong division next year. Well, I would say between the Packers and the Lions, yes. We don't know about the Bears. Let's face it. The Bears have been the Bears.
Don't ever lose. I mean, ever lose.
I know. How much will Love get paid? That is a good question.
Actually, it's not because they already paid him for next year. They didn't take his 5th-year option and they extended him already with a very team-friendly, less than market value, less than the rookie 5th-year option would have been. I think it was like $15 million. So he's good because this is only his 4th year. This is the end of his rookie contract. He has an extension already.
I think they were talking about, though, that they're going to be talking to him, though. Let's see.
It'll be an extension. It'll be an extension. So he's probably going to be in that market. The same thing as what we expect Brad Holmes is offering around Goff. An average starter salary. It's not going to be upper echelon like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson. We're not talking 45 to 50 million. It's going to be in that 38.5 to probably 41.2.
And it shouldn't be. These honestly, if you're going to be a good teammate, and I get quarterback is a very important position, but you also need players around you to help you elevate, because if you don't, you're never going to be an elite quarterback, because you need an O-line, you need the running backs, you need the wide receivers. Now, do we need an upper echelon receiver? We kind of proved that for the most part, yes, you might want one, but you don't necessarily have to have one. But would it be nice? Because they were saying last night that was the one thing Green Bay was missing, is one go-to guy that was breaking through, was getting the routes, that we were missing. But let's see, Jordan Love, they're thinking about 35 million. They're saying, let's see, what else Houston inactive.
Yeah, I know. I just looked.
Tracy Walker inactive too.
And Khalif Raymond, of course, and Broderick Martin, Stephen Gilmore. Why have them even on the roster if you're not going to play them? As bad as Kendall Vildor has looked. You can't call him a rookie bust. He's played 2 games and he's had a sack and a tackle for loss in a total of 15 snaps. He's not being used. It's not a bust. He's not being used. You can't call any rookie a bust until their 3rd year. We've said it 100 times on every show I've ever been on.
Right. I agree. So your Lions, if they win today, then they go to San Francisco. What do you think? How do they line up?
I think they line up pretty good. San Francisco looked pedestrian. Defensively, they're playing the same type of defense as the Lions. They're playing a soft zone coverage with a blitz mixed in, and they're stopping people in the red zone, which is exactly what the Lions have been doing ever since Dan Campbell got his hands on the defense, like he announced after the Bears game. That's what we've been doing.
They traded up for Martin. It's a bust. I disagree again. Let's see. YouTube.
Every single expert says you can't judge a rookie until his 3rd season. And I'm not talking about YouTube.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Let's face it. I mean, Jordan Love sat for how many years? I can't call him. I'm not going to call him a bust yet. I mean, look at how he improved over the course of a year. So that's what's going to happen with your draft. Some of your drafts. Yes, we've had busts before. Look at Tony Mandarich. I mean, that's our ultimate biggest bust that the Packers have had.
Well, he's going to lump him with Joey Harrington, Jeff Okudah, and Andre Ware after 1 year. That's great. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
That's your opinion. It don't make it right either.
Right. I get it. So, who do we think? Chiefs or Bills tonight?
I got the Bills winning at home.
Okay. I think that gives them the edge. And then I'm sure you're taking your Lions.
Of course.
Lions over the Buccaneers. So next week, then we would be looking at Lions, 49ers, and Ravens, Bills. Who do we have in the Ravens, Bills?
Ravens, Bills? It's going to be at Ravens. It'll be a tall task.
Sitting a QB they don't need is a little different. You can't call Tony Mandarich a bust yet. He hasn't played 33 seasons yet.
You said 33. Now you're putting words in people's mouth.
Oh boy. Well, at least we have some fan out there commenting. I mean, I have to give him credit, but yeah. I definitely don't call anybody a bust their first year. Houston is out. What is Dan?
That would be our illustrious. You know who makes the decision on defensive players sitting or playing? That's Aaron Glenn.
If the Bills can keep their running game going, they should win. And then Lions 34-17.
I think it's going to be much closer than that. I still think we hit the over because our over is exactly the same as what the 49ers versus Packers is, 49.5. I don't think we hit the over. I think it's going to be a close, low-scoring game. I'm thinking either 24-17 or 24-21. Lions win.
Okay. Any other comments? Anything else you want to talk about, Jeremy?
Well, let's enjoy the games. Let's enjoy the fact that we have, I know Candy enjoyed her season.
I did. I even as much as it pained me last night, I enjoyed the game. I mean, at least it wasn't like they really laid an egg. They went out there, they competed. It was a hard-fought game against a very tough defense. And yes, we learned lots. And football is my first love of sports. So.
Yes, I did pick the Texans, and had Christian Harris not get hurt, their linebacker, it might have been a different game because he was keeping Lamar in check. As soon as he went out, Lamar was able to get actual yardage in the run game.
Meanwhile, I mean, I know we don't talk very often NBA, but I just have to comment that my Bucks did beat your Pistons yesterday, although the Pistons are not having a good season. I will admit that.
We're 4 or 5 and God knows whatever.
You guys are 4-38. We're 29-13.
Winning the most ping pong balls for the draft lottery. Yay! Stop tanking.
Oh. So, do we think Belichick is going to go to Atlanta?
Actually, because they just scheduled a second interview with AG and Ben Johnson next week, it doesn't look likely.
Do you think that's because of Belichick?
I think it's because Belichick wants total team control. I also think that's why nobody's given Harbaugh a second interview other than the Chargers.
It should be an interesting offseason. And how many Alabama players have hit the transfer portal now that Saban's out?
I don't know if it's going to affect them a lot either, but I think Alabama needs to lobby Alabama legislature to let NIL come to Alabama now. Because now that the boosters can't afford to pay the NIL money, that team doesn't look like the best pro team in the SEC.
Yes, I would agree.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I think it's real close to a USC situation, and Saban retired because he was about to get exposed. And the NCAA might not do anything because Alabama's a premier team.
I would agree. I would agree with that. Well, this has been a great show. I wish your Lions well today. I'm one of those that believe that if my team is out, I still like to see the NFC do well, although I have a hard time with like Chicago, and Minnesota's foghorn. But the Lions haven't been there, so I really give you guys credit, and I hope you guys do well. As for the Buffalo and Chiefs game, I think it'll be Buffalo, but me, it doesn't really matter. Like once my team is out, again, I don't check out. I'm still very much a fan of the game. But yes, it doesn't matter to me as much who wins or who doesn't. Although whichever team wins that game, I think will have a hard time against the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson has elevated, and he's definitely, what should I say, on a mission. He wants to prove his contract that, you guys gave me a contract. And good old Will. Hello, good afternoon, Will. Forward down the field.
You made it in before the end. Good job, buddy.
All right. Any parting shots there, Mr. Jeremy?
The same one I always say. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before, because that's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts in here.
It does. I would wish everybody enjoy the games, enjoy football while we have it, because let's face it, there aren't many more games left. What? 4 games? Well, the 2 today, and then there's 3 more games.
Oh, yeah. Yes. It's 5 games.
Mm-hmm. So just enjoy. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the games. And refs, don't play a part in the outcome of any of these games, please.
But I would also say they missed a couple on the Packers side as well as the 49ers side for that. They kind of let the guys play. Mm-hmm. And that I applaud that, because I kind of missed that type of play. Like there was a point where there was a catch made short on 3rd down where they weren't going to get the first down. And Quay Walker came to help clean it up. And he kind of got away with a side helmet-to-helmet hit. And I saw it on both sides of the ball that was happening, where the secondary players were kind of targeting the guy while they're falling to the ground. I also saw several big tight ends getting tackled by small corners and safeties in the thigh with their helmet next to the knee. It's not a dirty hit. No one's been fined.
I saw a couple face masks that weren't called too.
Yeah, on both sides. He always one was Colby Wooden on Christian McCaffrey when they had him at 4 yards out. He kind of reached up and yanked his head down. He just didn't yank it to the side, and I think that's why he got away with it, because there was kind of like a scrum around him trying to tackle him. And then there was another one against your running back, Aaron Jones, the same way. And I think it was a linebacker. I think it was Fred Warner.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, those type of plays gets missed. What doesn't get missed is when you hook them near the ear hole and you twist their neck sideways. They're calling that one all day.
Right. Right. I agree. Well, Jeremy, it's been a pleasure having this episode with you. Good luck to your Lions today. And until the next time. Thanks to everybody that was in the chat room. I appreciate it. Tell everybody, Jeremy, how they can get hold of it.
Well, you can find me on Twitter, as you can see right there, Smoking Jeremy on X. You can also find me on the southfloridatribune.com, where I do my writings for the Motor City Tribune. You can find me also on this channel, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes once a week. It doesn't matter. You'll find me here. I'm a part of the network. And you can find me on my network, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, which I've joined up with Main Event 365 and the Lions Villain Squad on Facebook, which is 24,000 strong. So you can see me everywhere.
Awesome. Well, this is just one of our shows here on the South Florida Tribune Network. We have Inside the Pigskin. We have 108 Talk, Sports Exchange, Correspondent, Fire Up Michigan, Fire Up Wisconsin, Fire Up Florida, Motor City Mad Mouth Show, No Limits, Professor and Pupil, all kinds of different shows. One of the things my husband did, he wrote a book, Inside the Microphone. It's up on the right corner. It's available on Amazon and Kindle. It talks about his over 40 years in the media business and how the media has changed over the years. It's a great read. You can also find my photography on www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can see Jeremy's writing, Scott's writing, George Eichhorn. You can get transcripts from the Dolphins, the Lions, the Jags. We have one of our partners is USF, the college down here, or FAU, for those of you that are FAU college basketball fans. Let's see, what else do we have? We have all kinds of, we have Inter Miami. If you're into soccer, we post them. And
the Miami Dolphins, the Detroit Lions, the Jacksonville Jaguars, all their coaching notes, they're all there to peruse at your leisure.
The Miami Marlins, if you're into baseball, because let's face it, that's right around the corner coming up now. What else do we have? We're also partnering with NGBT TV. It's going to be on Roku TV. Sneak peek is January 29th. You'll find the Sports Exchange on that network. We have lots of going on, lots of things happening. If you're a sports fan, even if you're not a sports fan, we have shows that talk about that. But as far as we are going to be doing a conference championship preview next weekend, so make sure you tune in for us next weekend. But enjoy any of our shows during the week and enjoy Jeremy's as well. It has been an awesome episode. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Thank you for everybody that commented and watched us. If you liked us, share us. Tell all your friends about it. We want more subscribers. That red subscribe button. You guys know what to do with it. Hit it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just a little bit of time watching. So on behalf of Smoking Jeremy B, my name is Candy. I'm from the South Florida Tribune. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we want to catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.